What's up everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a first impressions video about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm about 3.5 hours in, so if you saw my Ghost of Tsushima first impressions video, this is going to be very similar to that, where I'm just going to give you some thoughts on the game. I'm going to compare it a little bit to Odyssey, because I know a lot of people are wanting to know how does it compare to Odyssey. I'm going to tell you some things I like, some things I don't like, and at the end, I'm going to give you my rating so far. As always, thank you guys so much for just clicking on this video and being here. You guys mean the world to me, even though you're all over the place and I can't physically see you. I love you guys, and I'm so thankful that I get to do this and talk with you guys about video games. It means so much to me. A like on the video would be super helpful. I see you people. The likes are going up. Thank you so much. I see every single one of them. When you're a small channel, small things mean a lot to you. So if you also want to hit that subscribe button, it would mean a lot to me. So thank you guys so much for just being here. Ready to talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Let's do this. So this is an unscripted video, which means I'm probably going to be all over the place. I just wanted to kind of get some stuff out there. I didn't have time to write a script because I want you all to have the information as fast as possible. So just bear with me if I become a little bit scatterbrained. Any of the film that you see in the background, all of it is my playthrough so far, but none of it should have major story spoilers. So yeah. Hopefully no one gets mad about that. But yeah, so the film in the background is just minor stuff, some gameplay, so enjoy. Alright, so the very first thing that I'm going to talk about is how the game starts off. This is the one that I said there's a minor story spoiler, so if you want to skip through this part, then feel free to do that, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, up to you. I'm warning you, but again, I don't think that it's really going to matter too much. So, Assassin's Creed Valhalla opens up with a story of a young Eivor, you don't pick your gender at the very beginning, who is living with their clan, and they get raided by another clan, and Eivor's mom and dad are murdered. And that's kind of how it starts. At first, I didn't like that because I felt like it was a very generic story. You know, young kid, outsiders come in, murder their family, they get pissed off, and therefore the rest of the game is them searching for revenge. I will say after about 3.5 hours in, you can tell that this game is so much more than that. I just wish that they would have taken kind of a more unique approach to the start of the game, but it is really well done. They use different camera angles here. It's more like a TV show kind of thing, and I really loved that. And the atmosphere is just absolutely beautiful. I love all the Viking outfits and weapons, and I feel like they really nailed the opening scene, even though I felt like it was generic. It's still good. And it's still something that you begin to really care about and feel like it's part of your identity. Now, going to the gender selection, I really like what Assassin's Creed Valhalla did here. They let you choose male Eivor, female Eivor, or you can let the game decide. And I think what that means is that it switches throughout the story. I'm not completely sure, though, because you can switch your gender at any time in this game. I did choose to go with female Eivor just because I'm getting kind of tired as playing as male character leads in games. We don't have enough female leads. I just feel like it's unique, and I really like that part of it. So as I said, the story starts out with this generic basis that I'm going to start saying female Eivor for mine because that's who I chose. So it starts off with female Eivor, very young, clan gets raided, family gets killed, and then she goes off into the world to do other things. I really like that they give her a name, or him, you know, whoever you choose. It's Eivor Wolf-Kissed, and she is known by that. And as you start to explore in different towns and things, you will hear small conversations being like, oh, did you hear the Wolf-Kissed? Or did you hear Eivor the Wolf-Kissed is back? Things like that. Like, you become a legend, which is really cool. And I really enjoyed those really small things. On in the game, there's a point where I was at this small island. Before I even made it to my first main objective, I started exploring this small island, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And there's this small conversation that I had with someone. It seemed insignificant, but they mentioned what happened to her family, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but they have an item from that night, and this is completely missable. Like, if you don't spend time exploring, you would have missed that small story feature. Is it pertinent to the whole overall story? I don't think so, but it's just these small details that Ubisoft leaves you to explore and find on your own that I love. So the more time you put into the game, the more you're going to get out of it, and I really enjoy that. So let's talk about the minute-to-minute gameplay. Like, how does this game feel? What should you be prepared to experience? So It is a vast open world. I'm going to compare it a little bit to Odyssey here to help you all understand. If you haven't played Odyssey, then you should still be able to understand what I'm saying here. But the world is much smaller than Odyssey. It's still ginormous. I don't even know if the map size is any smaller, but it feels smaller because things are closer together, which is really helpful. Because in Odyssey, I would get lost in the story because I had to travel so far that I would forget what was happening and there would be a billion side quests to do on the way. And eventually the main story just became irrelevant to me and I forgot what was happening. I don't foresee that happening in Valhalla because things are much closer together. Things just feel more meaningful, less distracting, less bloat. Now, again, I'm only about 3.5 hours in. This could change along the way. I will keep you guys updated, so stay tuned for that. But I just felt like it was less distracting. Things felt more meaningful, and there's just still so much player choice. Like, I keep going back to this small island. I could have completely skipped that island and went straight to the main quest, but I decided to stop and explore and see what I could find. You could do that at any time. You could always come back. The only thing that's going to stop you from exploring a little bit is that different places have different power levels, which I like because that kind of keeps you on track. Like, I can explore these areas, but this part of the map is meant for later in the game. So it does kind of direct you a little bit while giving you player choice. I do like Assassin's Creed Valhalla's take on skills and abilities. They are in two separate sections of your, I guess, menu system. They're in two separate sections, and skills are kind of like passive abilities that you upgrade, and I really like that because you make a build that way. They give you this really nice map that looks like the stars, and you can pick, do I want to do more range stuff? Do I want to do more stealth stuff? Do I want to do more melee stuff? I don't know if those are the exact three, but you get the point that I'm saying. And they're mostly passive things that happen to your character, and the way that you build your character, I really like that because I'm more of a ranged player, but not everyone is. Like, my wife is a melee player. She wants to be in your face, hacking and slashing. I would rather be in the background with the bow and arrow, which, that reminds me, the bow that you get at the start of this game is amazing. If you headshot them, they're one shot. And I love that. I got really irritated in Odyssey having to, like, use 1,000 arrows to kill somebody. It just annoyed me. And I like the one shot. Some people would disagree with me and say that it's easy, but this game is not easy. It's not too hard, but I have died a few times. So I feel like they've really balanced out the difficulty with player style, and I feel like it's really well done. Now, the abilities, if you've played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's not very different, and it shouldn't be, because that's one thing I really liked about Odyssey, is that you have these abilities that you can use in combat, or just like assassin abilities and things like that, where you can, it's really defined by player choice. Like, how do you want to approach things? What abilities do you want? And those aren't passive, those are clickable abilities. And I like that they're separated. It's very clear cut. Like, the menu system in this game is very well done. It's not confusing, it's not overwhelming. I feel like they really nailed that aspect of it, because sometimes, bless you, sorry, one of my dogs just sneezed. Sometimes in games, the menu system can get convoluted and confusing and you forget where things are, and I just feel like that's really well done here. Another big change from Odyssey, and from what I've seen from reviews and other people talking about the game, this is hit or miss for people, but for me, this was a positive. So in Odyssey, you're constantly looking for other gear, other weapons that meet your level, and you're constantly changing them out. I mean, I felt like I was doing it like every 5 seconds in Odyssey to try to keep my gear up to date. They take a very different approach in Valhalla, and I really like it. So let me explain a little bit about that if you all don't know yet or haven't played the game yet. So let's say that you find this piece of armor that you really like, okay? You don't have to worry about if it's the right level or anything. You pick up the piece of armor. If you like the stats that it has, you keep it, and you can keep it throughout the whole game and upgrade it. So materials that you find in the world, you use to upgrade your weapons and armor that you already have. It's very similar to God of War. If you've played God of War, you don't have to consistently change them out. There are different ones in the world that you can get if you like them better, but theoretically, you could keep the same one throughout the whole game and just upgrade that. Same with weapons and shields and stuff. There are upgrades that you can add to them. To me, that makes a lot more sense, because there are things in the world that I can grab and exchange out if I don't like the one that I have anymore, but I don't have to. There's not that pressure of, oh my god, I'm level 10 and all of my weapons and armor are level 5 and I can't find anything to make myself more powerful. I didn't like that about Odyssey. I felt like I needed to constantly loot and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I love me a looter shooter. Like The Division is one of my favorite games. However, I just think Odyssey, it was just too much for me. And in Valhalla, I feel like they do a much better job of balancing that out, taking some of the stress off while also making it an RPG. I mean, when you're playing an RPG, you should expect that you're going to have to pay attention to stats, upgrade weapons and armor, and things like that. And so I feel like they've really found a much better balance here in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. There is so much to explore in this game. There is a lot in the map when you first start, but it's not as overwhelming as Odyssey to me. Like, there are places that you can go to increase your wealth. There are mysteries that you can do, basically like side little things, but they all serve a purpose. And for instance, I did a lot of the wealth things. Like, wealth can be like you kill somebody and you take their wealth. You find like these bars that increase your wealth. It's just everything really feels like it has a purpose. And I can't say this enough. I felt like that's what Odyssey was missing. I didn't understand why I was doing these things other than level grinding to get to the next story mission. I feel like they've put a lot of meaning and purpose in Valhalla because all of these things go back to growing your settlement. And you have a home base that you keep going back to, that you're trying to meet people's needs and fulfill like a family and a community, and just there's a landing place. I just feel like Odyssey was really missing that. You were out in the world and it just felt purposeless to me. I mean, I know, don't come at me. Like, I know people out there loved Odyssey. I think it's a great game. I just think that it got too big too fast. There was too much bloat, and therefore I couldn't keep track with my reason of playing the game. Like, I didn't know what the main story was anymore. That being said, I'm only 3.5 hours into Valhalla. I will update you all and see if it ends up going in that direction. But so far, I'm enjoying this more than I enjoyed Odyssey. I'm really liking it. I can't wait to see where the story goes. And I know that there are like relationships in this game, so I can't wait to get to that and to grow my settlement and really just freaking take over the place. I'm really excited. I will definitely keep you all updated. I think right now I'm going to rate it a 7 out of 10. When I first started playing it, the first hour, I rated it a 5 out of 10. You just got to get through that first hour. I don't know, something about it I didn't like, but don't give up. Thinking back, I don't know why I didn't like it. Probably because I'm still annoyed with Odyssey and I couldn't let go of that. So if you're someone like me, let go of it. Get into this game, get into the groove. It is smooth. I mean, I am really enjoying it. I think when I come back to the table about 5, 6, 10 hours in, I'll be giving this game a 9 out of 10, solid. A few of my issues, again, are like, there are some bugs. There are some things that they need to smooth out. And I think the reason I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 is just that first hour, something felt off to me. But again, I think that will end up being a 9 out of 10 for me. So if you have played the game, let me know what you're thinking as you play it. If you haven't and you're wanting my opinion, I would say buy it. If you like RPGs, if you like Viking era stuff, if you like God of War, yeah, I would buy it. And if you don't have to wait for a sale, this is one I would say you don't wait for a sale. I think it's worth it. I think you're going to get a lot of hours out of it. They have a lot of post-launch content out there, but that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm really enjoying the game. So I want to know your thoughts. If you have any additional questions for me, if there's something that I didn't touch on here that you want to know about, please let me know, and I will be glad to answer those questions. As always, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I will see you next time.